Well, hello there. So yeah, it's been a little bit, and a good portion of that is the GuildWar season reset. Yay! So we ended up getting a whole bunch of like kind of random teams, and conveniently, for 4 Guild Wars in a row, we didn't fight any Savior Aidens. Perhaps that's the reason why. So to those of you who are actually watching this and just like, hey, what's going on, what's this? This is the latest 4-star ML that we recently got. Her name is Last Piece Karin, and basically her whole premise is, I'm basically Assassin Sid, except I have accuracy on my kit, and it's only 50%, so if you want to actually get some guarantees on hitting any evasion units, because they're more than likely going to be rocking a 20% evasion artifact, like Savior Aiden would be, you need to have Manica of Control, or you need to have Symbol of Unity. So those are the two things that you just absolutely must have. So we're going into this team. It was Apocalypse Ravi, Savior Aiden, and Unbound Knight Arowell. Now, the interesting thing about Last Piece Karin is it's basically the buff that she gives herself. So whenever she S3s, she gives herself Phantom Sword. And with Phantom Sword, you basically have, well, you kind of bypass, like, damage sharing. I have to reread it, how it actually all works, because it also functions off of getting a kill. But either way, your first hit when you go into Savior Aiden, you have accuracy on your S2, and you will kill it. So you can use that to just go into Unbound Knight Arowell and Savior Aiden teams to utterly wreck them, and Illynav's there to do the cleanup for any of the HP bruisers. And that's how that first round really went. So, for the second round, we have Winter being the oh-so-lovable bitch that she is, destroying my 50-50 and going for my Sharun. So, that's ultimately my fault. I mean, I basically was playing the odds of like, okay, so we had a 50-50 chance here. She's either going to go into Roana or she's going to go into Sharun. She goes into Sharun, and this is before the buffs have actually happened. So, the buffs actually have happened on June 8th. Which is technically today, but this Guild War was from the 7th. So the big difference that you would see if this was the buffed version of Sharun, basically all they really changed about her was her S3 would reduce cooldown durations by 2 turns instead of 1. Now, that doesn't sound too crazy, but it actually kinda is. So if you go into any kind of situation where you don't actually need, like, crazy raw dog healing, because that's, like, my biggest complaint about Sharun in the first place, is she's a fucking soul weaver and she doesn't heal. Kinda like, Death Dealer Ray. But, either way, they have Venom. Venom is actually kind of legit fucking stupid. And the thing that you can do with buff Sharun now is whenever you S3, yeah, you'll reduce the buff durations by 2 turns. What does that ultimately mean? Basically, like any buffer going in, it's going to just destroy their buffs. So, for example, if we were going into this team and it like wasn't Winter and it was just like some typical Senya Choux comp or whatever, you can kind of just like wait for Choux to do her anti-crit nonsense, and then you can just, you know, raw dog slam the S3 into that, and it will pretty much get rid of all the immunity, it will get rid of all the anti-crit, and you'll also inflict Venom. And whenever you have Venom with Sharun, anytime she hits a enemy that has Venom with her S1, she cooldown, like, extends on the character. So that's like a form of control that you can really do with Sharun. It's actually really mad fun. But either way, basically to go on about what this whole strategy even was. Yeah, so there's Winter. Like I said before, I lost the 50-50. So after that first initial loss, and then I lose another 50-50, and she goes into Sharun again, because they're all at full health. So Sharun is basically just taking all of the abuse, and this isn't even an effect resist Sharun. Like, I have a little bit of effect resist, but it's a whole lot more effectiveness and, like, bulk, really, is what's on my Sharun. So she's not doing as much as she could, but hey, if you have the means of really dealing with it, so if you have a cleanse or something along those lines, I usually like to always bring Roana into Senya Choux shenanigans, because you're going into a lot of like counterattack shenanigans and you're just getting free health off of it. And Shadow Knight Pyllis is just there as like the super anchor of a lot of my teams that go into these kind of things. So Winter is only going to go into one of my 2 green units. This, in this case, pretty much being Sharun. She has enough HP where she's not going to just be immediately annihilated, but she's still going to be taking like a fair bit of abuse from Senya. Thankfully, Rocket Punch being the oh-so-wonderfully based artifact that it is. Yay, don't you love limited artifacts and just how fucking stupid they are and you can't get multiple amounts of them? Looking at you, Benimaru's Taichi, you fuck. But either way, so we've gotten rid of the two actual like damage dealers. Now all we have left is, well, Winter. So whenever you're down to just Winter, or you have the situation completely under control, you can completely like just troll the team with Roana. The reason why I say that is because by the time Winter is going to get her S3 back, you're more than likely going to have Revive up on your Roana, so you can really just kind of troll the team and just not give a fuck about her S2. And that's just kind of how it is. And also, Pyllis is just mad amazing for that fight in general, because she can cleanse without taking a non-attack skill. So here, we're going to go into a Injury Belian, the bane of my fucking existence, but we're going to just basically... This is kind of for fun, really, because I thought that Last Strider Krau might very well be the bane of Injury Belian's existence, and he actually kind of is. The only thing is, you're still susceptible to injury. So... you kind of have to deal with that. Now, if this wasn't going into Apocalypse Ravi as well, you would have next to fucking nothing to worry about. But because we're also going into Apocalypse Ravi, and Apocalypse Ravi is the stupidest fucking character in existence, we pretty much just have to deal with her. And also, let's go ahead and count throughout this entire fight how many Elbrises that we actually get. We haven't gotten any yet. But thankfully... one more turn left for Krau, and then he's going to get his S3 back. So we're actually doing extremely well if you're going into just a Belian. Now, the reason why this all kind of falls apart is there's two different things that you have to really take account of. One, we're going into two darks. Two of those darks in general. One is a damage dealer that also injures, that being Apocalypse Ravi. She's always going to go into LRK. And two is the Mediator Kawerik. So Mediator Kawerik is a threat for two reasons. One, he's also going to be providing attack buff. Doesn't do immense amounts of things to the Apocalypse Ravi and the Belian, but attack buff is attack buff. You do have to deal with it. So you're just going to be taking even more damage from that front. And also, like, the Belian wasn't really going, like, absolutely crazy with Elbrises, so I wasn't getting a lot of heals. But, hey, that's, like, the good thing about this, is we didn't really get a lot of, like, crazy stuff happen to us. So, it kind of works out. But, like, if you see, like, the injury ratio that's going on my team, like, LRK is actually taking one hell of a fucking beating right now, and he's not really getting any opportunities to maintain his speed buff, so he's losing damage on that front and merely losing more and more damage the more the fight goes on because of how high my injury's getting. So, I haven't really been paying attention on my side here yet, but have you guys even really seen an Elbrus yet on my end? I think it only happens, like, maybe 2 times in the entirety of my whole fucking Guild War here. It's actually low-key enraging as fuck. But, either way, so Mediator Kawerik's about to go down, and still, he wasn't like the super threat. Oh yay, look, Elbrus. This game fucking sucks, man. But, the real threat is actually Belian, but we're dealing with so much barrier shit right now that we can't really get through to do the injury. Because that's the biggest weakness of injury, is going up into barrier shenanigans. So, like, right here, I'm already starting to think, well, okay, so we just dealt with a Ravi's S3. We're probably not going to be dealing with a Revive at this point. But we're going into, like, really, really big damage on these fronts, so I'm probably going to lose LRK. And ultimately, that's pretty much what happens here. Because, like, I think that was my second Elbrus, and then I think I get one more Elbrus right here. So this is, like, what, 3 Elbruses in the entire fight? Woo! I love this game! Fucking piece of shit. But either way, yeah, so we got through that one. It was kind of painful, but, like, hey, it really just, it does work. It's just we need a lot more answers to A Ravi. Here's hoping that whenever I try out LQC and her damage buffs, it's worth it. I'm hearing a lot of negative opinions on it, so very well it may not. But I don't know. I'll be the judge of that whenever I get the chance. So, for this next fight, it's going to be some Ahmed, Choux, and some Mercedes shenanigans. So, like, ultimately, hey, you're dealing with a unit that revives and ruins your day, and you're also dealing with anti-crit, and it's just perfect for fighting Dark Corvus. Now, it would be even better if we had another Roana that healed like Roana, so you could go into shit like Mercedes without really having to worry too much about like all of the extra counter damage that you're going to be suffering. But like, hey, I mean, that's just the way it is. SG absolutely despises Soul Weavers. Have you really taken a look at how many Soul Weavers we really have? I mean, all of my Soul Weavers are Friendship 10 already because we really don't have that many of them. They just don't give a shit. DPS sells, healers don't. That's just the way it is. So what we're going for here is we're just going to try and do as much damage as humanly possible to Choux, hoping that we don't trigger a Magic for Friends. Oh, look, it's Magic for Friends. So it's getting very dangerously close to death. Now, fortunately, we don't have to deal with the AoE from Choux. It's Dark Corvus' turn. We can kill Mercedes now. So now Mercedes isn't coming back, because Dark Corvus, being the oh so wonderfully balanced character that he is, deals extinction damage, so she ain't coming back. Now, all we have to deal with is Ahmed, and we have to deal with Choux. So, hey, looky there, it's Alencia's turn. That Choux is dead. So now all we have left, in all honesty, is Ahmed. And whenever all you have left is Ahmed, I mean, hey, go ahead and just grab your alcohol drink of choice, and you could honestly hit auto at that point, because you are done. There ain't nothing that bitch is going to do to hurt you. Whereas, opposed to Ahmed, if you're ever down to like a one-on-one with something like, say, a Conqueror Lilius, you actually can run a very, very real risk of getting stalled out by her, because, you know, Conqueror Lilius is super, super fair and balanced. Literal bitch came out, like, what, 2-3 years ago or some shit like that? Still broken. No real counter. Whatever. Fuck it. I'm good at balance. Now, so we didn't get an opportunity to use LPK for every single fight, mainly because a lot of people have stopped using Savior Adin. And I think this is a pretty damn good reason as to why. A lot of people like LPK's design. They think she looks really cool. I have to agree. I mean, I kind of like some of the cyberpunk aesthetics of the kit. So, basically, if you have the speed to do it, and you can kind of guarantee your turn in, you can really pretty much, like, just annihilate any Savior Adins on turn 1 with Last Piece Karin. Now, we're also going into Senya, and we're going into Destina. So, if we're going into Destina, there's actually a number of different ways we could have actually done this. I decided to go for the Angelic Montmorancy and the Iseria. Now, my Iseria is a gigantic piece of shit. Do not do any of the shit that you see in these videos where I utilize Briar with Iseria. I am a hack, and I am utterly terrible at this fucking game. Mainly because I just don't like gearing. I don't like gearing, I don't like enhancing. You guys know me, I'm lazy as fuck. I'd rather do other things. But the reason why Briar Witch Iseria is there is she's really just there to cuck the Destina. So now that Briar Witch is there, the only thing Destina can do is heal the Senya. So all I have to do, in all honesty, is I just have to wait and bide my time until I can go into the Senya and I get my hit. There's the hit. So now that we got the hit on her, now all we have left is Destina. So Destina is going into 1 DPS, 1 healer, and also a stealth Briar Witch Iseria. Also, the Destina is green. The Destina is only going to attack Angelic Montmorancy. So with that said, match is over. She cannot do anything to win. It's just not possible. So the first thing that I did at the very, very start of this fight, and it is a little bit of luck, in all honesty, it's just how it is. If I didn't get the unbuffable on the Senya, I might have been actually in a lot of trouble, because my only strip is Iseria. I didn't have the souls to guarantee the strip or anything like that, and that was the only thing that really could have gone wrong and I could have lost. Now, like I said before, whenever I said you could have gone about this numerous different ways, for starters, you could have gone into this with Lone Crescent Bellona, you could have gone into this with Dark Corvus, you could have just any kind of tank and spank option where you just limit the amount of attacks that go into one unit. You could even done this with a Dark Tank, which in this case could have been Dark Corvus. But on to the next one right here. So here I'm utilizing Armin, Destina, and Archdemon Shadow. So, what am I going to do here? Oh, well, first of all, we're going to immediately make a wrong decision 2 turns into the fight. So if you were smart, what you would have done is you would have gone into the into the Angel of Light Angelica. The reason why is because if you do not go into Angel of Light Angelica and stop her from doing her S2 if she's hit by an AoE attack, you run into a very, very serious risk of getting absolutely hyper fucked up by the Edward. Like, that's 100% what could happen. And we also straight up, we got the dual, the extra attack right here. Doesn't affect the Edward because LOL luck. But now, all we have to do is we just have to go on to Edward, and if we can just maintain those two forms of seals, this team can't do anything to me. Sure, the Choux can still hurt me, but there are two things that I have here that are kind of working in my favor. So I don't know how much damage the Choux is actually doing, because the reason Armin is there, one, Armin has Aureus. Now, with Aureus, you basically you do a damage sharing of, like, what is it, like 10 or 20%? That's some shit like that, whatever. But yeah, there's damage sharing that's being occurred. Some of that damage is going on to Armin instead of going on to into Ameru. And the other thing is, Ameru has like a 30% damage mitigation effect on just being hit with crits. So this whole team's going to crit me. So I don't know if those two damage mitigations actually stack. I'm merely making the assumption that they should, because the damage mitigation on Ameru is based on being hit with a crit, and then the other damage mitigation is just straight up a flat 20% damage mitigation from Armin. So my assumption is I should be actually stacking the mitigations. Now, if you're not stacking the mitigations, it's still not the end of the world, because you are dealing with Aureus damage sharing as well. So, hey, it all kind of works out. Now, I mean, if anybody happens to know that, and, like, for a fact, like, what stuff stacks in terms of damage mitigation and whatever, I'm merely assuming that it does. Because, I mean, like, how bad is that I've been playing this game since, you know, the inception of the game, and I don't know this shit? It's almost like we need to have more mechanics, like, you know, very, very firmly explained in either some of the skills for some kits or I don't know, something like that. Because I know it says on the actual kit for Armin's, like, or for any of these damage mitigation or damage sharing things, is the highest effect will be applied. But these are two different damage sharing mitigations. So if they were both something along the lines of, oh, it's just a flat 20%, and then the Archdemon also had like a flat 30% or something without like the need for a crit or something, then I would assume, okay, so it's only the crit 30% damage mitigation that's always being applied. Like, you see where this shit is so fucking confusing? But either way, so that's where, like, all that is. So because the Edward is sealed, we never ever have to worry about equivalent exchange. It's never going to happen, because if he's sealed, he's just always going to maintain that debuff. And with Archdemon Meru, which is another incredibly base thing about her, hey, if you have 10 souls, you just straight up always have an inescapable seal. It just always happens. So if you burn that, you always get it. And of course, like, there were a few 15% that did happen throughout this fight, but, like, hey, whatever. Still, no Edward should ever have fucking effect resist. Even though this one actually had immunity, which is weird as shit. But, hey, whatever. I guess I can understand why you would probably have it. Just in case, like, oh yeah, I don't want to go crazy on the first turn. I'll go crazy on the other turns. So, yeah, thanks so much for coming to my oh-so-wonderful coming back party, I guess. I don't know. I was like, whenever it came to, like, the last week, I don't know, man. I really wasn't feeling it. Like, I had a whole bunch of different GuildWar fights just, like, backed up, and I just didn't feel good about any of them. I couldn't find any kind of music that I wanted to use. I had, like, too many, like, tank fights. It was boring. And ultimately, I just decided, yeah, I need a break. I just need to, like, just get the fuck out of here for a little bit, and maybe come back around the time whenever buffs come out, and then see if any of the buffs are actually totally worth using. So whenever it comes down to the buffs, I will at least say this. I am the most excited to try out Arunca, and I am the most excited to try out Spirit Isolene, and those are, like, the two big ones that I'm really the most interested in. Apparently the whole community, because everybody fucking loves cleaving and shit. Everybody loves Jacko. Couldn't be because everybody's a fucking Coomer. But, like, yeah, I don't know. Just like, Jacko. Oh, I gotta get that Jacko. I gotta Jacko myself. Oh. Okay, yeah, have fun with that. But, like, I mean, I'm more excited for Arunca. I really, really want to test a lot of her damage. I'm kind of wondering if she has to have attack buff to even be usable. LQC, I hear a lot of people are kind of disappointed in her. I want to try her out. Sharun, I also want to try her out just to see how effective she might be as, like, just of stripping. But hey, that's what I got planned. So hey, if you guys like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to see more of my content, go ahead and hit subscribe. See you later. Bye.